Peter King, NBCSports.com, and the great column starting your Monday morning. Football morning in America. Spent some time at the Combine. Feels like it's Groundhog Day, Peter. People go kicking and screaming, yours included, with the Combine that we don't really get much out of this. And then after it, we're talking about those who are rising and falling and who made money and, so all the drama that was there. Number one story, number one headline coming out of the Combine is what for you?
Unfortunately, because I don't know that there's anything altogether new, but, I'm having breakfast with somebody very prominent in the league on Thursday, and I said, give me your stories this week. And he goes, Tom Brady is the domino that's paralyzing the entire NFL. And until people know what happens there, look at how many people are being held hostage, from Derek Carr to Bill Belichick to, there's 30 really big people in the NFL who their lives are going to be affected an awful lot by whatever Tom Brady chooses to do and whatever teams choose to go after him. Now, there are some teams that are out there who are, quote, in the Tom Brady hunt, end quote, that I'm not sure that they are. And there's some teams that I think it really doesn't make a lot of sense for, but who knows? This is a very unusual situation. The reason I poo-poo it only a little bit, Dan, is that, the rest of the league is going on. And there's an awful lot happening. This is the Combine really has become like a political convention because everybody, and I mean everybody, goes for 4 or 5 days. And so you're going to run into Jerry Jones. You're going to run into Howie Roseman. You're going to run into Bruce Arians. You're going to run into everybody in the league at some point over like a 4-day period. If you're lucky, you get to schmooze a little bit and move on. The difference, I think, this year, Dan, is the labor agreement, although the public, and rightfully so, is not all that concerned about it because no matter what happens, there is going to be football this year. But the labor agreement is on everybody's mind. That is, to the common person in the NFL, so much more important than where Tom Brady lands. And I had the Giants player rep, Nate Solder, tell me over the weekend that he asked 15 players on his team in the last few days. He's talked to 15 players, and he said, what would your vote be? Do you want to stay at 16 games or go to 17 with improved salary and benefits? And he goes, it was 15-0 in favor of playing 17 games. So there's a tremendous disparity of opinion. It is exactly, I said to somebody, this is precisely like the America that Donald Trump sees and the America that Bernie Sanders sees. It is diametrically opposed, and somebody's going to be really pissed off when this vote happens, and maybe 1,000 people will be really kicked off. But this is going to be a very interesting story over the next week or so.
What's more likely to happen? Brady leaves the Patriots or the Redskins take Tua at number 2?
The Redskins aren't taking Tua. I just can't. I can't see it in a million years. Now, is it in their best interest to convince everybody that they might take Tua? Yes, because then Miami might be forced, imagine this scenario, Dan. Imagine Miami trades a 1 and a 2 to go up to number 2 to get, to make sure they get Tua, and then imagine Washington then trading back up with the Lions so they can get Chase Young at 3. There's all kinds of things that'll happen, but I'll be shocked if Washington takes Tua.
Talking to Peter King, his column is Football Morning in America. Keeping an eye on some of these other quarterbacks, and as you said, Brady is the domino there. The next quarterback after Brady is who in the dominoes?
Well, I think it would be a tie. I don't think there's anybody who is overwhelming, but Teddy Bridgewater is very interesting to a bunch of teams because he's proven that in a good system, he definitely can win. He's a great leader type guy. And so, whether that's Tampa, which I think is probably the favorite for Teddy Bridgewater, And then after that, I guess you'd have to say Cam, although I had a good conversation with Matt Rule at the Combine, and he said flat out, I'm really looking forward to working with Cam Newton. And he's watched a bunch of tape on him, and I think, if I had to guess right now, my guess would be that Carolina would likely keep Cam, but that would not eliminate them from taking, say, a Justin Herbert or Jordan Love, maybe even trading down a bit to do that in the first round. Yeah. And then, I mean, there's any one of a number of guys. I think the big question about Phillip Rivers right now is, does he really want to play regardless of what the money is, or is he going to be out there seeking sort of franchise quarterback money for a couple of years? And is there a team? Like, I kind of don't think Indianapolis would do that. I've thought for a while Indianapolis is the favorite for Phillip Rivers, but then again, if he wants $27 million a year, I doubt Indianapolis would pay that. So those are some of the issues right now that are kind of floating out there.
Was there a guy who really helped his draft stock at the Combine?
I don't know how much more that Isaiah Simmons could do, because most people already thought he was a top 10 pick. But just in terms of impressive people and players at the Combine, I would say that Isaiah Simmons was number one because, I mean, I had a coach who said Isaiah Simmons right now could walk into his training camp, he thinks, and play safety, any linebacker spot, or even slot corner. And so that would be the most amazingly diverse, it'd be like the modern-day version of Troy Brown in New England. He can play so many places. And then I think the other guy was Jonathan Taylor, the running back from Wisconsin. Although Jalen Hurts, by the way, had a great night on Thursday. I now think he's an absolutely solid third-round pick. A lot of people love Jalen Hurts as a leader, and they really want him on their team. But I think they were concerned about how he throws the deep ball, because he really has not had to throw a lot of deep balls, really. And he threw the deep ball, again, against air, okay? So against no rushers, but, man, he's got a good arm. So, I don't know. He helped himself, too. But that running back from Wisconsin, wow. This guy had 926 carries in college. But now you've got all these people in the NFL who think, well, we may not have a running back get to a second contract anyway, so let's just ride this guy. He's tremendous. He's Saquon-esque. So anyway, we'll see.
Yeah, that's my philosophy. If I take a running back in the first round, I'm using him up those 5 years, and then that's it. Like I even with the Cowboys, I wouldn't have re-signed Ezekiel Elliott. I would have found somebody else with that offensive line. The Titans, with what they have with Derrick Henry, do you re-sign him? Do you think he stays with Tennessee?
Well, Dan, that is a great question. The guess, and look, one of the reasons why Tennessee has a huge vested interest in which way this contract goes. For people who don't know this, right now an NFL team could tag, a couple of free agents here in the last year of this current CBA. But if there's a new CBA, you can only use one tag per year. So if this passes, they've got Jack Conklin, Derrick Henry, and Ryan Tannehill, and they can only tag one. So I think, this is a tough call. If you're in on Tom Brady, in my opinion, you've got to tag Derrick Henry. I would if I were them. And I would really try hard to sign Conklin. But as crazy as it sounds, Derrick Henry would be vitally important if you're going hard after Brady.
Well, if I'm Brady, and by the way, he was FaceTiming Mike Vrabel from the Syracuse game. Is that tampering, Peter?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. They might have been talking about
no.
his son at Boston College. I don't know.
I don't think they're breaking down Buddy Boeheim's game. Yeah. By the way, the Tony Romo deal that seemed to steal the weekend. What was the buzz off of that?
Just that, I think when you look at what Romo did, what CBS did is they wounded ESPN. ESPN is not used to losing things that they want to win. ESPN, everybody in the business says, desperately wanted Romo. And right now, the way you look at it is, ESPN, because these packages, Dan, could change. Just think about it. In 2021, if this passes, there's going to be 18 more football games. Could 10 of them be put in a package for streaming, maybe with Google or Amazon or somebody with a bottomless pit of money to throw at the NFL, $1.5 billion for 10 okay games? That's so you don't really know. And you hear all these things about ESPN wanting to improve the Monday night package or invade Sunday. So I think what CBS did is they said, we are still what I would call a bejeweled property in the TV field, and we're not going to have our biggest talent poached.
Oh, boy. I still go back to, if Tony Romo didn't get hurt, like what would he be doing today? What would the Cowboys have at quarterback if that didn't happen?
Well, I doubt they would have been so intent that year that they went, Dan, remember, 2016, number one choice, far and away for the Dallas Cowboys, Paxton Lynch. Desperately disappointed when they didn't get him. First pick of day 3, the Cowboys thought that they had a trade with the Cleveland Browns worked out where they were going to trade up to get this first pick in round 4, and they were taking Connor Cook. Well, they got trumped literally at the last minute, and Oakland traded up for that pick, and Oakland picked Connor Cook. And then, in a very disappointed way, even though they had good reports on Dak Prescott, they took Dak Prescott. My gut feeling, just the gut feeling, was if Romo was healthy, they wouldn't have been so intent on getting a quarterback. Would they have picked Prescott? Who knows? Maybe, but I doubt it. And who knows? Romo, you know what people don't know enough about Tony Romo? I'll never forget being with him at training camp one day, and he took out his phone, and he had all these videos of how every quarterback in the league threw. And he was breaking down everybody. And it was a fun conversation, even if you're not a passing scientist, even if you're not Tom House. It was so fun to listen to him. And I remember thinking that day, because I always thought Romo would be great on TV. I didn't know how great. But I remember thinking that day, this guy breaking down the sport of football in a way that people can understand is going to be great. And, you hate to say this, but as good as he was at his peak in football, he's better in the booth.
Peter, great to read the column as always. Thank you for your time.
All the best, Dan. Take care.